Sometimes it feels like spam calls are nonstop. Even if you owe money to a credit card, utility, or phone company, you do have rights. It's part of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus has what you need to know to keep your phone from ruining your day and silence the debt collector calls.
It's been pretty bad lately.
Every time the phone rings,
They're pretty regular.
John Rossen knows
It's a real problem. It's just that I got used to it.
he shouldn't pick up.
178 calls in the past year, maybe.
Going back a few months, Rossen found himself in some debt.
I was not paying back the credit cards and not following up very well. And that's how I got in that situation.
A situation he knew he needed to take care of and take care of quickly.
I just took the step on my own to call one of my credit card companies and say, yeah, can we see for a lower interest rate or something? And just by discussing with them, they referred me to the debt management plan. It went from months of not facing the situation to getting myself on that plan.
But as quickly as he worked to curb his unwanted debt, unwanted calls started ringing in.
I was getting these calls from these companies with very aggressive tactics to try and get me to consider a debt restructuring plan.
According to the latest data from the Federal Trade Commission, debt collection calls are surging, and Florida ranks third overall with the most. Of the more than 112,000 calls reported to the FTC, 47% were flagged as abusive, threatening, or harassing.
They do have to adhere to what's called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So, they can't call you at all times of night. They can't threaten to put you in jail. They can't, harass you. They can't verbally abuse you, that sort of thing. But they do have the right to call unless you send them what's called a cease and desist letter.
Thomas Nitsch is a financial educator with Money Management International, a nonprofit credit counseling agency.
Is there any other way that you can get these calls to stop?
Unfortunately, unless you use something like a call blocker on your phone, a robo blocker, that sort of thing, those are ways that you can head off those calls and try to minimize the disruption in your life. But unless you send the cease and desist, they do have the right to call. They just can't call, at the middle of the night, that sort of thing.
He says address the debt right away. That will help with the calls coming in.
So when possible, it's always a good idea to try to negotiate some sort of payment plan or settlement with them. For debt that's in collections, if you're getting calls from a third-party collection agency, that means that the original creditor has sold the debt to a collector.
With the latest data showing 4 Florida cities, including Tampa and Jacksonville, in the top 10 of cities with the most debt collection calls, he says make sure you also report the problem calls to the FTC and the Better Business Bureau.
So if you are feeling harassed, if you're getting verbally harassed, or if you're getting calls in the middle of the night, that sort of thing, you should take the time to do that, because that's really the only way that they can be held accountable.
Advice John's doing.
And I tell people I ignore, I'm so sorry. I explain to them that I get so many spammy calls and they always understand.
Now that he's taking care of his debt, it's time to take care of these calls.
It just adds to the kind of anxiety.
And a few more things you can do to protect yourself from those frequent debt collection calls. Don't confirm personal information over the phone unless you're sure the caller is legitimate. Ask for written verification of the debt. Legitimate collectors are required to tell you that information. You can see that Fair Debt Collection Practices Act in our story online so you can review your rights. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.